Hi everyone, and welcome back to the free-to-play realm. Today we're going to be talking about outposts, and I'm going to show you a way of how you can get maximum possible loot without compromising your battle capabilities. So step number one will be choosing the best possible outpost target that gives you most favorable conditions to win. The best one that I found is the Borg outpost. The ability of the Borg outpost, it increases its ISO damage by a certain percentage, but the thing is, because ISO defense is very easy to obtain, and I will show you how, you can mitigate most of its built-in ability, and then you have favorable battle conditions. Now, let's talk about the ships that I'm using. So if your building is level 40 and above, you can use 3 ships. If it's 39 and below, you can only send 2 ships. I recently upgraded to level 40, and now I'm sending 3 ships. So which ships should you be sending if you can send 3? Well, if you look at my screen, I sent 1 warship and 2 miners. Yes, you heard me. It will all make sense in a second. Now, before we talk about the crews, you need to understand why I chose 1 warship and 2 miners, and that's directly related to battle prioritization sequence, and I'm going to cover how it works. So the way the battle prioritization, the target sequence works in Starcraft Fleet Command, in Outpost and in base defense as well, let's assume that a battleship is trying to attack your base or trying to attack your ships that are fighting the outpost. The battleship will try to go and find a target that is favorable to you within the triangle. So a battleship will try to find an explorer first. If an explorer is in the group, it will attack the explorer. If there's no explorer in the group, then it will try to find the same class ship. Battleship will try to find then a battleship. If it cannot find an explorer or a battleship, it will then go against triangle trying to find an interceptor. And if it cannot find all 3, then it will try to target a miner if available. So, taking that into consideration, the reason why I send 1 warship and 2 miners is to make sure that my miners are untouched by an incoming attack. The attack will always target my warship no matter what class it is. So the initial fight against the outpost is the outpost can fire randomly against any of the ships that you send. It's not a designated class, so it doesn't follow the prioritization that I just covered. It can fire randomly at any one of them, so there's RNG involved. So our priority now is to make sure that these surveys survive, and I will explain why when we cover the crews. And I have to stress this, the surveys must survive. They have to stay alive if you want to have a successful run. So, JB, how do we keep our surveys alive? Well, you're in luck. We have a wonderful, wonderful ship called the NSEA. The NSEA Protector is a specialty ship that you can obtain as you progress in the game. Most veteran players have it at this stage, and if you're a new player, you will get it and you will unlock it eventually. Now, the reason we want to utilize it here is because it has a special ability. The special ability is called Omega 13 ability. Now, this Omega 13 ability is a buff. What it does is you buff a ship with the NSCA, and that buff is protecting the ship. So if the ship is destroyed in battle, it will resurrect itself and reconstruct itself with a certain amount of health. So what I want you to do is to buff both of your miners, both of the miners with the NSCA ability. Now, the cooldown can be high by default, but if you have Laliari, if you put her on the bridge, in any slot on the bridge, that she reduces the ability cooldown by a certain amount, so you can buff both of them fast. Now, because the outpost is firing randomly, and it can definitely target your miners at a certain point and destroy them, if both of them are buffed with the NSCA ability, what you're doing is you're actually ensuring that it doesn't matter what the RNG gods are going to do, your miners are going to stay alive, because if it blows up your miner, it's going to rebuild itself because of the buff. Now that we made sure that our ships are going to stay alive no matter what the initial outpost is going to target, and then we're going to start the waves and all of them are going to be alive for the duration of the 72 waves, we can talk about crews, but I want to show you the buffs and the setup that you need to have when it comes to techs and FCs before we begin. So since I'm a free to play and I only have 4 seats still for FCs, I'm using Lorca on seat number 1, Kirk, then Sloan, then Khan. The other 3 can take any seat, but seat number 1, I'm still using Lorca because I'm going to be using Lorca's Fist here as one of the buffs. Now, if you happen to have FC Cisco, definitely use him. He's great for outposts, but a free-to-play doesn't have him yet. They're still going to take plenty of time before I actually see him. We can only dream about it. But if you have him, you definitely want to use him here. Now, the remaining buffs, buff your warship with everything you've got. Fire everything. If you have a ship ability, use it. Lorca's Fist, yes. Make sure you time it right before the engagement of Outpost. Use Cerrito's buff, Max Fort if you have it, Exos, anything goes. Now, as far as techs, use the best 2 that you have, Forbidden Tech and Chaos Tech. I personally use Agony Booth, and the Godsend is also a good choice as a Chaos deck. Now, one more very important buff. As soon as you conquer the Outpost, as soon as you defeat the Outpost initially, I want you to purchase the ability that it gives against the Outpost. Now, if you're targeting the Borg Outpost target like I did, then you will buy the Retaliation Isolated Defense ability. I want you to upgrade it as much as needed. Me, usually I go for like level 5 or 6. You can go all the way up. Now, it does require you to spend some of the currency for it, and as well as some par steel. Regular par steel and then Sigma par steel. Even if you have to spend some Sigma par steel, I highly advise you spending it because it's worth it, especially if that's going to make or break the difference of you completing the 70 waves. Because if you complete this, you will have so much that you will be gaining a lot more par steel from the claims in the Outpost refinery that is going to compensate way over what you initially spent in the investment. So we're going to talk about the crew. The goal here is to get as much loot as possible. So we want our main ship, that is going to be the warship, to have as much loot gain as possible and also as much battle abilities as possible. So my warship is an Enterprise E. It's a tier 13 and it has all the underdeck slots. I'm using Enterprise E Picard as the captain. He has the loot ability for his captain ability. And then we have Riker on the side, which adds the synergy, so we gain more loot. And also Enterprise E Riker has an additional crit chance ability. 5 of 11 on the side, that's an additional 100% loot. Under deck, we want to have the Doctor for additional loot. We want to have S&W Pelia because she's going to add more ISO defense. Wrath of Khan Joaquim, that's a lot of ISO defense, especially if you have it maxed. Pick Q because we want to repair the hull. That's going to be very important for survivability. Wrath of Khan McCoy because we want to have mitigation. And S&W Dechok is what I'm using, but that last slot you can basically use anything. Now for the miners, you want to choose 2 miners. Probably I would recommend choose the strongest miners you have so they can inflict a little bit of damage as they're fighting. It's not going to be much. Their firing pattern is garbage, but it's still going to be useful. So on your first miner, I want the captain to be Cadet Ahura. On the side, Cadet McCoy for synergy. And on the other side, Giorgio. So here's what's going to happen. Cadet Ahura's ability with synergy is going to decrease the weapon damage of the target by 15%, and McCoy's officer ability on the bridge is going to increase its effectiveness, the captain's ability effectiveness, by 12%. So it's going to have 12% efficiency on the 15 on top of it. And Giorgio is going to make sure that the target is constantly getting burning. That's why we want to keep these miners alive. Now on the second miner, you're going to be using a very similar crew. So we're actually going to be using the next generation officers on this one. We're going to use as captain the next generation LaForge. On the side of it, we're going to use next generation Crusher. So they have the same exact abilities as Ahura and McCoy. And then on the other side, we're going to be using Lorca. Now, as far as below deck officers for the miners, you can basically use anything you want. You can fill the stats so they can actually do a little bit more damage and have a little bit more below deck abilities that apply to outposts, but that's not really necessary. And that brings me to talk about the loot distribution. As you know, in any armada situation on invading entities, the highest ship, the ship that has the most power, is getting most of the loot distributed to it. So the miners have very low power. So my ship is 75 billion in power, my warship, and the miners are about 2 to 3 billion each. So when the loot getting distributed, it goes mainly to my warship, and the warship has all of the loot officers, so I'm increasing my gain by a lot. And that's the advantage you get if you're running this setup versus other people that are running warships only, is that their loot is distributed all over the place, and yours goes mainly to one with a loot crew. Now, I tried a lot of different crews. There are a lot of crews similar to this and a lot of setups and builds similar to this out there, and I tried different ones, and I found that this one is the most effective for me. Now, as far as which outpost target to choose, as far as the level of it, that depends on your setup. I can tell you that with my Enterprise E Tier 13, I can comfortably kill a level 70 regular outpost and finish all the waves, and also a 66 elite outpost. Now, if your building is level 39 and below, it means you can only send 2 ships. We do have some crews out there for 2 ships. I never tested it though. I only tested it with 3. And I originally heard about it when Erwin posted it on my Discord. Shout out to Erwin. He posted it on my Discord with screenshots. And I understand that it was a lot of brilliant minds that came up with it together. I know Quasel is one of them. And there are probably a few others that I don't remember their names. I'm sorry. But we do run all these discussions on my Discord if you want to join. There's a link below. Now, if you don't have these officers, if you have a different setup, if you have any follow-up questions, please hit me up. You can find me on Discord. I stream 4 or 5 days a week. You can find me anywhere online pretty much. You can comment below. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, please share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.